Hi guys, so today I'm going to be talking about the difference between healthy love and narcissistic love bombing. So one of you guys did ask for me to kind of explain the difference between the two because it could be really tricky to navigate these waters, right? Because, someone gives us attention, they're nice to us, they, show us affection and love, and of course, like it's instinctively we want to embrace it and we want to experience those feelings and those moments, but at the same time we also have to be careful because there are certain types of people that are very good at kind of presenting this side of themselves to us in order to gain something, right? So we also have to, be aware of what those signs are, and also just, set those boundaries so that we don't get taken advantage of or, repeat certain mistakes or experiences that we've experienced in the past. So difference number one is how fast the other person proclaims their love for you or just how they feel about you, but most importantly, their love for you. These relationships tend to move very quickly. And it's not to say that there isn't such thing as love at first sight. I know a few people that have had those experiences, and it's a very healthy relationship. But for the most part, if it tends to move too quickly without them really even knowing you very well, or you just haven't really built that connection or that foundation yet, and they're telling you, I love you and I want to build a life with you and I want to have all these things with you, then I would definitely be a little concerned, but just have a little alert up. I'd want to explore that a little bit more and understand kind of what's going on, because the difference is a healthy person tends to move much slower, right? They tend to, they want to get to know you. They want to ask you questions. They want to know, they're aware that it takes time to really understand how people react. And, when you get comfortable with someone, you tend to learn more about that person. And so a healthy person is aware of that and they want to discover that before they continue on and invest themselves more in the relationship. So definitely be aware of the pace of the relationship, how it's moving, and if that person is being, if they're putting too much pressure on you, that's a huge indicator too. Notice if they're putting a lot of pressure on you, because a healthy person would not want to put you in that position. So say that they confessed their love for you, or told you that they really liked you or whatever it is, and you told them, I like you, I think I want to get to know you better, but I'm not at that point where I love you yet. And notice their reaction. Okay, if they get defensive, that's something to be alert about. And also if they pressure you into moving the relationship forward, that is also a huge indicator that perhaps this person is not the best person to be with. So difference number two is the time factor. Narcissists tend to be very controlling and want to spend all the time with you, right? Especially in the beginning, they just want all of you. And as much as that could be, that could feel good to have someone who just wants to spend every waking hour with us, it's also something to be alert about, because that tends to push other people away from us, our support system. And that's the whole point, is that they really want to isolate you from your support system and become your entire world. Now, this gets tricky because, it's very normal to have an infatuation stage at the beginning of a relationship. It's so normal to want to spend, all all the time sometimes with someone you love. You just want to be around them. So the way to test if this is a healthy or an unhealthy relationship, or unhealthy or a healthy person, is by, testing them once in a while. So, what would happen if you said no to them? Not just one time, but a couple of times, right? What would happen if you said no? What would happen if you put up a boundary once in a while? And this is sometimes hard for us to do because, in the beginning, we try to put our best faces on, right? We want to be accommodating, we want to be fun, we want to be, all of these great things because we want this person to want us. But it's really important to test them because that is how you're going to know how the person is going to react. So if he gets defensive, not a good sign. If he puts pressure on you, not a good sign. A healthy person respects your individuality, right? Because he or she is an individual as well. So one difference, something that I noticed with my boyfriend right now, first healthy relationship that I have ever had, which is crazy, but it is true. I'm 32 years old. And, he really, really encourages me to, have my hobbies and be with my family and my friends and just grow and evolve as an individual. And, he does the same thing too. So it's just really, really nice to have that because you're not stuck, right? You're growing and you're growing together. My ex, however, the narcissist, really unhealthy person, he would not allow me to, I think it was 2 months in our relationship, and I was going to Hawaii to visit family, and he insisted on coming. He wouldn't really allow me to do these things on my own. Even if I went on a hike sometimes, he was like, well, why can't I go with you? We should do these things together. It was just like so suffocating. So that is a huge difference is, whether the person respects you and your path and, what you're doing, as opposed to someone who wants to always know what you're doing, wants to always be with you, and doesn't really allow you to do your own thing and just be who you are. So difference number 3 is the drama factor. Narcissists tend to be very dramatic, right? They tend to cause problems and create problems where problems don't need to be. A healthy person doesn't really care about that kind of stuff. They don't want to deal with drama. They don't care to cause problems because they're smart enough to know that that stress isn't helpful, right? They are confident in themselves enough to know when to react and when to not react. They know how to emotionally regulate themselves. A narcissist or an unhealthy person does not know how to do that. A narcissist, everything just tends to be, the world tends to revolve around them, and they just tend to cause a lot of problems. So if you see someone, just notice how they react to even the slightest of, things that happen to them. If someone talks to them in a certain way or does something, how do they react? What's their temper like? Are they aggressive? Really pay attention to those things. And also, pay attention as well to if they are being honest with you or if they're lying about small things, because those things tend to really add up and tend to worsen into the relationship. So it's good to really pick up on those things as soon as possible. So how do we avoid, right, getting involved with a narcissist? Because of course we do not want to repeat the same patterns. We don't want to experience that same pain. So it's so much better to push the brakes when it's early before we invest ourselves into these relationships, because us females, it's our natural instinct to really invest ourselves in love and in our relationships, and we tend to be very self-sacrificing. And so that's why it's just so important to really pick up on these red flags before we allow ourselves to really, love someone again and invest ourselves again in another relationship. So, what I want to say is really take your time. Take your time when you meet somebody. You don't have to rush into it because the right person is not going to rush you. Okay? The right person is going to give you space and give you time and respect your needs and your desires. That is what you want. You don't want someone who's going to push you in any way. So really take your time, even if you do really want to be with this person all the time and you really do find this person to be interesting and worth it. Take your time. You want to test them. You want to see how they react to your needs and to time and your space and your individuality. Also, be sure to schedule regular contact with your friends, with your family. Continue doing your hobbies, continue doing things that you like to do, taking that time to be with yourself and have your own space, because again, a healthy person is going to give you that space. It's also going to test them to see if they are controlling, if they try to be with you all the time or insist on coming with you everywhere or insist on you hanging out with them instead. You really want to test them during this time by doing your own thing and continuing to live your own individual life. And lastly, what I wanted to bring up was, practicing self-love, practicing knowing that you are worth it and that you don't have to settle for less. You're not in a hurry, right? Because that energy of desperation is not going to bring you anything good in your life. And they can sense that. People can sense your energy. So continue to work on yourself and really practice self-love and enjoying being with yourself so that you're not in a rush to jump into the next relationship, to jump into the next person's arms that gives you attention, okay? Really be okay and practice being okay with being on your own and having that confidence and that empowerment to say no when you need to and to really respect your needs and your desires. So I hope that was helpful for you. I know that it could be really tricky, like I said, to navigate these waters. Dating is tough. It's not easy, but it's really good to know some of these differences and to also be patient with yourself and really trust that you will find what you are looking for. Okay, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me in the comments below.